Well, that sounds like blasphemy.
He's gonna hurt the
I
children.
want that man arrested immediately.
We can't do that, sir. This is America.
Sir, this is a Wendy's drive-thru.
The only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
Hard times. The only salvation is to be good.
Kids won't go to church
Be
anymore.
good.
Both India and Asia are probably the best locations to witness examples of secret mushroom symbolism because they attempted to hide it the least. We'll get to Asia in an upcoming presentation, but for now, India sets the stage for what comes next. India is known for their cobras and serpent imagery, and if you know how to translate the mythology, you'll start to see the mushroom everywhere. The Rig Veda is a collection of poems, or rather prayers, to the elementals to bring Soma for the worshippers to consume. Thanks to the work of Gordon Wasson, we know Soma was actually the magic mushroom. In ancient psychedelia, I went even further by extracting all the passages that applied to Soma directly and highlighting all the words from the same verses that reveal the mushroom is the main subject of the prayers. When tracing myth back to the beginning of everything, we find elements in the Rig Veda of the names and characteristics of these elemental deities that become present in later Persian and Mesopotamian texts from Sumer and Babylonia. One example is Mitra, associated with Varuna. Mitra later becomes Mithra in Persia. We have the 7 sages appearing as Brahma's sons in the pine forest and responsible for the castration of Shiva, who is later likened to Osiris in Egypt. All the elemental deities have characteristics of the mushroom associated with them in the verses of the Rig Veda. Briefly, some examples of this are as follows. O sovereign of the forest, thunder wielder, slew the dragon lying on the mountain. He found the treasure brought from heaven that lay concealed, heavenly food of the gods. Bull of earth, bull of heaven, lord of cattle, amid the plants he rises, king immortal, bedewed with holy oil, strengthened as it drank the rain, heals all sickness, lord of soma juice, colored red and blue, etc. As I stated in the 2 earlier presentations, the serpent represents wisdom because of its association with the magic mushroom, and the bull also represents the mushroom because magic mushrooms often grow from cow or bull dung. We see both of these animals representing deities used in the Rig Veda in the most simplest of terms with only basic characteristics. It's in the later texts that we find all sorts of fantastic attributes added that give more flavor to the myths. We can see only small changes in the Avesta, the primary text of the Zoroastrianism, which discuss the Haoma, the Persian version of Soma. We can see slightly more characteristics given to the deities. It's not until the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads that we see these deities become warlike heroes. This is the reason why I speculate in ancient psychedelia that India is a far older civilization than Sumer. All the Sumerian and Babylonian stories are just advances of the same elemental deities that started it in India that go back much further before the invention of writing. But now they are warlike and conquering. This is why I believe the patriarchy started in India later on with the Brahmins. These were the first priesthoods who consumed the mushroom and gave only their urine to drink to their followers, never telling them the source of the inspiration, leading the people to believe the guru was a holy man who should be followed and obeyed without question. The metabolites can be recycled in the urine up to 5 times, as mentioned earlier. The priests later moved out of India and started to conquer the world by creating kingship in places like Sumer. All the most common Indian deities are pictured here like Indra, who is a god of thunder, just like Zeus and Thor. Indra was also referred to as the lord of cattle in the verses in the Rig Veda. Shiva was identified with both Rudra and Agni. Rudra was a storm deity and Agni a fire deity. Shiva is attended by a bull named Nandi. Shiva is also known as the one-footed, another common theme of mushroom mythology, which includes deities like the Monopedes and Achilles in Greece. This represents the mushroom which takes up water from its single leg. Garuda is an eagle deity who's often pictured fighting serpents, a common theme in ancient mythology. Vishnu is a sacrificial deity who hides himself 3 feet deep below the dirt among the roots of the plants. Ganesh was a deity representing intellect and wisdom, but didn't come until much later in the history of India when deities took on supernatural characteristics. Krishna, a blue deity representing psilocybin, is another character who appeared later in India in the Bhagavad Gita and sometimes pictured holding up Mount Govardhana. The Rig Veda also mentions a group of deities called Asvins. These are associated with the Maruts. It's my conclusion at this time the Maruts are wind elementals, which later became Mercury and Greece, the messengers. The Asvins are really interesting, however. They are described as luminous aerial vehicles, and they are prayed to bring the Soma. This will be covered in a later presentation on air elementals, sylphs, and UFOs. The oldest known coins in the world are from India around 600 BC. Early Greek coins started out around 400 BC. The oldest coins from India are called punchmark coins, and they contain images of bulls and mushrooms. Around 300 AD, during the Kushan Empire, they produced wonderful gold coins with Ashi, a goddess of fortune. She's also known as Lakshmi or Urdoksho, depending on the location of her adoration. She's holding the mushroom, her hands are sometimes made of mushrooms, and she was the original inspiration for our Statue of Liberty holding the Torch of Enlightenment. The mushroom represents liberty and revolution against authority. We also see images of just the mushroom along with spores around 1200 AD. Persian coins also depict strange mushroom headdresses and symbols of the fire altar for placing the sacraments before consumption. This may be where we get the idea of offering the first fruits of the harvest, which later become the firstborn son under the Patriarchal Judeans. The Soma consumption was called the sacrifice in India. Since deity was thought to exist in the mushroom, it's possible the consumption meant the sacrifice of the deity, or it referred to the idea of the ego death and rebirth, which would indicate it was the disciple's old self being sacrificed. Regardless, this was the first idea of sacrifice in religion. The cow, which used to be holy, was now sacrificed in Brahma-led India and later Persia. All because the meaning of it was lost because the Hindu Brahmin priesthood hid the truth about the origin of the hide that came from their urine. The whole idea behind the origin of Mithra in Persia was the slaying of the bull. This concludes the presentation titled You Can't Unsee It, Episode 3, India and Persia. For more information on this subject, visit AncientPsychedelia.com and check out the free online version of the book, Ancient Psychedelia, Alien Gods and Mushroom Goddesses. Thanks for watching. One last thing I should mention, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support me in my work, here are several ways you can do that. It does help tremendously, and I really appreciate it.